Well, we're coming to the end of 2022 and I'm starting a new series, obviously a new year, a new series, and I've called this series Important Keys for a Breakthrough in 2023. Important Keys. Now, if you've been believing all this year and waiting on God for a miraculous breakthrough in your health or your finances or your relationships, then this new series of videos is really going to help and encourage you. Miracles cannot be microwaved. In order to receive a miracle, we need to understand biblical principles, and we also need to understand the spiritual laws that govern miracles, because there are laws in the spiritual world. Now, there are many Bible characters who experienced answers to their cry of help, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. And I've called this first video, Having a Powerful Mentor. If you're going to succeed and receive your miracle, it really would be helpful if you had a powerful mentor to help you. So I've chosen Elisha for this first video. Elisha was a prophet who succeeded Elijah. Elijah, you'll find mentioned in 1 Kings 17. He was Elijah the Tishbite, and you probably realise that he was the one who called for a famine in the land of Israel. 3.5 years of famine because of the idolatry in the land, led by Queen Jezebel and King Ahab. Now, the land suffered a drought, and then after the 3.5 years of drought, the prophet was told to go and see the king, and he saw King Ahab, and he challenged the prophets of Queen Jezebel to call down fire from heaven on their sacrifice as a kind of, okay, we'll see whose God is real. If your God is real, send fire. If my God is real, my God will send fire. Now you read about this in 1 Kings 18 and verse 17. That's the passage where you've got Elijah on Mount Carmel. Now, during that test, obviously, the prophets of Baal, they could not make fire fall because Baal is just an idol. He couldn't send fire. And so after the fire had fallen on Elijah's sacrifice, Elijah then killed 450 false prophets of Baal. And when Jezebel heard what Elijah had done to her prophets, she sent in return a threatening message to him saying, I'm going to do to you what you've done to my prophets. And Elijah was full of fear. Jezebel had spooked him, and he ran off 80 miles. He ran to Mount Horeb, which is the mountain of God. Now on the mountain, God said to him, what are you doing here? He knew very well what he was doing there. He was running away from Jezebel. But God gently but firmly corrected him as he spoke to him on the mountain. And he told him to go back and make some new appointments. First of all, to appoint a new prophet, Elisha, to take his position as his successor. 1 Kings 19 and verse 16. Now, where was Elisha? Elijah had to find him. Now, Elisha was just a farmer. He was farming and ploughing a field with 12 yokes of oxen. 1 Kings 19, verses 19 to 21. Elijah said, follow me, leave your oxen, come and follow me. So Elisha left his position as a farmer and followed Elijah. And that was the start of a training period. Now the wicked king Ahab in Israel died, and his son Ahaziah took the throne of Israel, and he in fact had a serious accident and fell through some lattice work and he was sick. Now Ahaziah did not trust God. He went and sent messengers to the Philistine god Baal to try and get a healing, try and get help. But Elijah heard about it, and he intercepted King Ahaziah's messengers, and he said, "What are you doing?" And he said, well, they told him, and they told him, he told them, "Go back to the king and tell him you're not going to get help from a foreign god." And so the messengers went back to the King Ahaziah, and told him. And Ahaziah said, "What did he look like, this guy?" And they said, "Well, he was very hairy, and he had wearing leather." I know who that is. That's Elijah. So Ahaziah, in response, sent out 3 sets of 50 men with their captains to capture Elijah. And Elijah each time called down fire from heaven and killed a lot of them. 3 lots of 50 men. You'll find that in 2 Kings 1, verses 9 to 14. Now Elisha saw all these pyrotechnics, and he saw Elijah's power and courage. He had a wonderful demonstration right in front of him. And he stayed with Elijah until the fiery chariot picked up his mantle. 2 Kings 2, verses 11 to 13. He saw Elijah's mantle fall back to earth, and he knew he would have a double anointing. So Elisha was trained by an extraordinary mentor. Well, I hear you say, "Well, David, I'm just little old me. I'm not like Elisha and Elijah." But anyone in the new covenant, it says in Matthew 11:11, is greater than the old covenant prophets. People in our lives, of course, are very different from these Bible characters, but the principle is the same. He who walks with the wise shall himself be wise. Proverbs 13:20. So whatever the miracle or breakthrough that you are desperate for, then search out someone who by their faith has succeeded in that area, who can then advise you and encourage you and pick up on their faith. That's the first step in getting your miracle. Get a powerful mentor.